Hey, 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 what's up, everyone? Happy weekend. Hope everyone's doing very well. I'm excited because the bubble is opening up very soon, very soon. We're going to get all those Aussies over. I was actually in Queenstown last weekend, just doing a few
What?
business meetings here
Whoa,
and there.
whoa, 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 whoa! Sorry, I'm going to interject
J-
here. The guest
Here
is
we go,
coming in
here
too.
we
So
go.
I
Jamie
was in
has
Queenstown.
interjected. You were in Queenstown last week.
Yeah, man.
We often cross paths at the weirdest times. So
We
I
do.
I, I love you, Jamie, because you're this creative guy and you always speak up when you want to. But I was going to do this mean as introduction, but you
Oh
got in
no.
there before I could give you your big build up. So this is Jamie, everyone. He's on the podcast today. He's an incredible dude, entrepreneurial spirit. When you're one hell of a funky guy. Whenever I see you, you're in a crazy colorful t-shirt. You're entertaining people. You're coming up with ideas. So big ups to you. For anyone who doesn't know you out there, can you just give the quick five of what you're all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, kia ora, everyone. My name is Jamie. If you've noticed a slight twang in the accent, that's because I happened to grow up in Jakarta, Indonesia for about 15 years. I'm now 23. I decided to hop off to the land of the beautiful long white cloud when I was about 15 and went to boarding school. I've just completed a 5-year degree at Auckland Uni and have gone full into the swing of my startup, Shwoop, which I've been doing for the last 4 years. So really getting into the groove of things, which is awesome. To describe myself, I'm okay. I've got my lead dev in the background, and he just fist pumped. So I'm assuming you smashed a bug. Did you smash a bug?
New thing.
Nice. Okay, new feature. Okay, new feature stabilize. That's awesome. We are in the middle of an 18-person hacker house in Newmarket, Auckland, New Zealand, which I started about in December. So the whole vision of the Middleton Manor is to bring people together. So we've got about 17 young professionals and entrepreneurs, and one of the rooms, the last 18th one, is this co-working space, which I'm in at the moment. So far, going very, very well. I'll touch on Silicon Mahi in the Middleton Manor towards the end, but to describe Shwoop, basically my whole vision is to turn cities into playgrounds. How can you use technology to bring people together rather than, I don't know, if you've seen the Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma, you'll know that these large-scale platforms like Facebook and Instagram can often do a really good job of tearing people apart. So Shwoop is all about providing experiential activations in cities to bring people together and scaling that on our platform. And number two, something called a hyperlocal social media. So gosh, Tinder is an example of a hyperlocal social media, where it's very community oriented, except for, that's for a very specific purpose. Shwoop is more about, friendship and other things, etc. And yeah, we're launching it at Auckland University very soon, which is very, very fun. And we are in conversations with AWS, who's introducing us to Snapchat, to see if there's room for us to hopefully become the post-lockdown sensation app. So if House Party was the lockdown sensation app, hopefully Shwoop will ride the wave of the vaccines sweeping around the world and be the post-lockdown sensation app. But I'll throw it over to Jace for a second. How's that for a bit of an intro?
That's a mean intro. It's so good. I guess there's a lot you packed in there. So 4 years this project has been in the making, Shwoop.
Correct.
What has that 4 years been like?
So I started I'm so used to saying 4 years. It's actually 5 years now. I was I know, right?
Good Mahi.
Thank you, bro. I started out in my second year of university, where I was very clueless, but passionate, I guess, young entrepreneur, where I knew nothing. Upon retrospect, I'm like, wow, how is it possible to make that many mistakes? But I'm sure I'll also be thinking that in the next 5 years as well. I'm very keen to see how intellectually accurate and honest I am during this and comparing it to my style in the next 10 years. So this will be a good memory for me to reminisce in later. But anyhow, started out my second year of uni, did hardware, did AI kiosks with foodstuffs. So I sold to their CEO, which is the largest supermarket brand in New Zealand. They own Pack and Save and New World. Then I also did some. It was a very hardware-based startup around this idea of turning cities into playgrounds. And recently we've gone more to the software side for providing kind of like the new student engagement and hype tool for Auckland Uni, which is a bit of an enterprise deal that we struck. And moving forward from then, 3-year vision, how do you integrate hardware and software so that you're, walking around a city, and I'm calling it integrated reality. It's like a medium that we're trying to create where there's just seamless interaction between the bus stops, the nodes, the everything in a city in a very gamified manner, to that on your phone as well.
So how do people get involved with it? Do they just download the app and there's all these almost like a treasure hunt style game that you have to get to checkpoints and get the next clue, get on to the next thing? What happens when people are in the app?
Yeah, good question. So right now, stage 1 of our product is very much like a treasure hunt app, an experiential product where we, through activations, we can, it's not just we can do far more than treasure hunts, but the main, the core mechanic is a treasure hunt. They get a prize, and brands, they give us heaps of free stuff. So, we've got about $250,000 worth of stuff for our upcoming launch. Yeah,
that's not bad
I think we'll
for a 23-year-old.
We'll get that. Oh yeah, I just thank you. Shout out to Amazon. We just got a shipment of heaps of Alexas here to give out, so we're pretty excited.
Right.
We've got 5,000 Gongchas and e-bikes and heaps of stuff. So having a lot of fun with that. For the brands, they get like a 3-minute experiential marketing activation with the person while they're doing while they're trying to get the prize. And for the users, obviously they're getting connected with their friends, they're getting connected in their community. So that's how the whole engine works for now.
Yeah. What I suppose you're based in Auckland, and so you've got a lot of. Or you said you started out with Auckland Uni, was it? That was where you're going to launch?
Right.
So how do you plan to take it overseas? Or I suppose it's a digital product, so what's the next steps after that?
Yeah, sure thing. So stage 1 is very much just a pilot with Auckland University, proving that our platform works, proving that we can reactivate. So we did a pilot actually 2 years ago. And we managed to get 1,500 downloads at Auckland Uni in a week, and the week before 1,500 downloads at AUT. So 3,000 downloads across the board. We ended up coming 5th on the App Store in New Zealand. So we beat Instagram and Snapchat and LinkedIn, which was crazy to see.
Really?
So we had this. Yeah, we had this
for new downloads. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I think their algorithm is based on explosivity and growth. Yeah. So I'm not sure if we beat them in raw downloads, but I guess we beat them on the iOS App Store hype factor, which is how they measure it. So we're top 5 trending. And we had that was a faster growth rate than Facebook at Harvard, and I think Pokemon Go as well. I'm not too sure about that one, but we popped off. And just heaps of photos of just crowds of hundreds of people kind of come into our events in the background, and the entire campus with just a buzz for a week. And it was certainly a highlight of many students of their own entire experience there. So it was really, really cool to see, and we're hoping to do that. That was in October of 2019, so quite a while ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Not COVID lockdown is not a good time to be a startup based on getting people out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Managed to stick through.
Yeah. That's a point. What's it been like over the last year?
It's wow. I guess a whole lot of grit. So at the end of the tail end of 2019, after the successful launch, I was like, all right, we're gonna get pumping. I was like, this is the next phase of life. I just had my my internship at Deloitte, which I had quit halfway through because I was like, this is absolute. I'm going to go on a meditation retreat for about a month, which I don't think they liked, which is fair enough. And I'm gonna work on my startup. Here I am. I got back from the gym and I'm wearing my Golden Shackles Deloitte t-shirt. Yeah. So I'm for once not in my colorful shirts. But COVID started to come around the corner. we had like this amazing 150 an hour consulting deal with Auckland Uni, well, later 130, and then later none, deal with Auckland Uni. So I was like, sweet, I'm about to be this hotshot entrepreneur. We're about to work with, a TEED, or now Auckland Unlimited, like, the Council of Auckland, to activate the entire city. We were just having really cool conversations, and then COVID hit, and it was just like, everything was just like falling away and ripping apart. Yeah. And I was like, no, 4 years of my life. And I kind of just had to hunker down. I don't, it was very irrational. I don't know how I don't know what was really making me do it. But I'm certainly glad that I kept doing it, because where we're at the moment is really good.
I sort of know how you feel. We at Global Games, we run large-scale junior sports events, and so the events sector was demolished by COVID. But a year ago, almost to the day, we were meant to send our first teams from New Zealand over to France, and that had been all taken care of. We fundraised tens of thousands of dollars. Everything was all go. The teams were happy. Our travel partners were happy. Our events over in France were about to go live, and then COVID. We just had to cancel everything. Like everything we'd planned for like, it was like a 2.5 year build-up, 3 year build-up, gone.
Oh, man.
So I know the grind. I know what you feel. But it's good to keep going. You get out the other side, and I think if something's pulling you in that direction, it's a good thing to follow.
It helps to be quite mission driven. So maybe that's where most of the irrationality stemmed from.
Absolutely. How did your team deal with it?
Most of them left.
What's that?
Pretty much all of them left.
Oh, no. Yeah.
We've got an awesome team now, so it's good.
So a bit of a restructure.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So that's been one project that you've got going on, the house. Talk us through that. What's happening?
Oh, very eccentric. How very out of place for Auckland, New Zealand. I wanted to live with. So when I finished university, I was like, shh. Am I allowed to swear? I'm not going to swear. I refuse to swear on podcasts.
People do what they want on this podcast. Like, we're live.
Okay, so,
whatever rolls. Be you. Natural ways.
Cool.
People don't like it, they can unfollow.
I love it. I'll refrain for now unless I get incredibly passionate.
But if the passion comes out, so be it.
Cool. I wanted to finish university last year, and I was like, all these people, they seem to I'm really big on collectivist cultures. People were cultures where there's community. And I think tied in with Shwoop, like I would like to make a change in the world where people are more people-oriented. Like your Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a bit of a broken model, but let's continue forward as an analogy. Like you need that socialization rung before you can properly hit like the esteem and the actualization rungs. And I think, that's the biggest missing block from society at the moment. I think that we're in a bit of a invisible loneliness epidemic. So that's for sure, half of the half the reasoning for Shwoop. And I didn't want to feel that myself. So I was trying to find like 9 or 10 bedroom places on Trade Me. And then I came across this place, and the landlord was, renting out one room at a time. And I was like, how about I come in as head tenant, sign the dotted line and see if I can make this work. And I was really lucky enough to be able to find just 16 other amazing people. And it's just been an absolute blast. We've been here for about 5 months. We're pretty notorious. We throw pretty lit parties. We had our opening party.
One of Jamie's strong points since way back.
Thank you. We're going to start inviting bigwigs to it as well. So we've got like Nick Mulbray visiting the house next Thursday. He's, for those that don't know him, I think he's one of the few billionaires in New Zealand. He's the founder of Zuru. And I met him and I told him about the house, and he was like, I need to see this. whether you want to call it a hacker house, whether you want to call it a hustle house, whether you just want to call it a community of young people that are trying to have positive impact on the world and trying to have a lot of personal growth. This is the whole vibe of the place. We found this Silicon Valley, I guess, style of co-living to be incredibly productive, and done in a very emotionally healthy way as well. I think that's the thing that's surprised a lot of people. So we meditate together. It is all guys. I tried to start it out with some girls as well, and it was, it just naturally kind of cascaded into majority guys. And when it was like 20% girls, then it became 0% girls, because 20% of girls didn't want to live with 80% of guys. I'm trying to fix that by creating an external community, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, really, really cool, spiritually in touch, emotionally in touch, growth-oriented young people that I have the absolute privilege of being able to spend time around. If you're the average of the 5 people you're around, I think we've checked it off with 17. So having a really good time here.
Man. And so what's the age ranges of the people in the house?
About now, our 19-year-old just turned 20. Who's my lead dev in the background. We've just had a 30th birthday, so 20 to 30 at the moment.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually lived in a house pretty similar to that a few years ago. It's awesome. Yeah, it's really cool.
Tell us about your experience. You went super hard on like the recording studio and the place as well.
Yeah, so we had a place called the Co-working Palace, and it was in Remuera in Auckland, and Remuera is a very nice place to live. But essentially, we had the worst house in the best street in Auckland. So the exterior was quite nice, but like the interior, there were things going wrong. Some light switches didn't turn on or off anything, or best to our knowledge, things kept breaking. But we had an awesome group of people living in there. So I think at the peak we had about 15 people living in there, but normally we had 12 people. So we turned one of the living spaces into a co-working space. So all our desks and chairs were in there, and then we had dining room. We had like a chill out room down the back, and sometimes we ran podcasts out there. One of the flatmates, he was really into his music, so we turned what was our library into his music studio. The place moved a bit with how the dynamics were based on the people who were actually living there. So it was pretty incredible, and every so often we couldn't pay for the rent because it was quite expensive to live there. So we ran these dinners, and we invited a lot of people along, similar to you getting the Zuru guy along, and we advertised the house. We called it Mansion Dinner Club, and people paid to come along to those dinners. One of the reasons we launched those dinners as well is because our mate wanted to start a vegan catering company. So we thought, well, okay, we need to pay for rent. He needs to kick off his company. So we just invited the whole street, and some big people came along. We had politicians, business leaders, scientists, doctors, just a range of different people. And we met crazy people in there. Like it was such a cool vibe. So props to you. I know it's a bit of a different way of living that most people are used to, but it's so awesome when you have a group of driven people like that, because it's not very common, and I think especially nowadays with COVID and people working remotely, I think these sorts of places are what people are after, but a lot of people don't make the leap to jump into a situation like that because it's so different to what people are used to.
Yeah, just anyone that's thinking about ever doing something like that. I can't speak too much, but Jason and I might strike you as extroverted people, outgoing, etc. But I can't say enough. There are quite a few people in here that certainly like to keep to themselves, and they can, and they do, and it's. As long as I guess you're not going into a bit of a frat house, that would be a different story. But co-living, and if it's a very growth-oriented and session, all of it appears as though the most introverted people in here are having the absolute time of their lives, and that's one thing that comes up quite a bit that deters people from getting into it. But I can address that up front. As long as you've got decent people that you're living with that don't. shout at night, etc.
Yeah, for sure. You have to screen people when they're coming in because you're going
totally.
after a certain type of community, and everyone will have their own vibe. But if you want people to make the most of the environment, you need the right people to come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
How have you managed that process?
So I've this myself, and then we've got Ashley, who's head of growth. So he leads up a lot of our cultural activities, and just tomorrow we've got a dinner called Ted M. Ted and M from Middleton Manor, which is the name of this place, and we've got some pretty cool people coming over. We've got the guy that was employee number 25 at Canva, which is now a $20 billion company. People that are managing $50 billion investment funds and being senior advisors. Another guy that works at the largest tech private equity firm in the world, or one of the, and a sleep wizard who's one of the top psychiatrists in New Zealand, in Auckland now. So all these people kind of rushing in from around the world due to COVID, coming back into the New Zealand borders. And we're kind of having a session around activating Aotearoa. And if Shwoop blows up and fails, for example, that'll probably be the thing that I try to do, which is in line with this other company that I've co-founded with my co-founders, head of my jury, and Isaac Carione, amazing people. And it's called Silicon Mahi, and it's around how do we turn New Zealand into a tech hub in the next 20 years, while also being one of the happiest countries in the world. Oh man. Uh-oh. Oh dear. Are we live? Can you hear me? Sending a message.
No.
Oh, I'm in a podcast at the moment, by the way. The tech just blew up. Wait, I'm still alive, which means I've got the floor over here. Okay. How do we do this? How do we do this while Jason's away? I'm going to tell you a fun fact about octopi, pardon me. So there are different branches and ways of knowledge. You've got your mammal brain, which has the neocortex, etc. All of these things are connected with a single factor of neurons. If Jason goes back on this one day, it's like, oh, the tech blew up and there are tech problems. And then you've just got your podcast guest ranting on about octopi. I'm not sure what he's going to think about that. But hey, you want to come in here for a second? Take over. So Jason's tech just blew up, but we got the floor.
The internet.
Yeah. This is 5 years. Maybe we might look back on this and it'll be pretty funny. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Oh, this is one of my co-founders.
What's up,
Mahi, by the way?
Hi, Jay. How are you?
Yo.
I can't hear you
What's
right
your
now
name,
since
bro?
on headphones there, but yeah.
Oh wait. I will just change my audio settings to go to speaker. Boom. This is one of my co-founders for Silicon Mahi. His name is Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, welcome to the podcast. Good to meet you, bro. How's things?
Good to meet you. Not too bad. I was like, he's going to be on video because it's a podcast. I was like, probably not. Then he is. So I was like, okay.
No drama, mate. Anything goes on the Daily Jace live show. We thought we'd have one guest. Now we've got two.
There we go. It's one person left the room and then three came in. You wanna slide them over here?
That's the one.
We're just about to start talking about Silicon Mahi.
Tell me all about it before my tech gave up on me. Before it blew up in my face.
I was telling people about octopi and branches of knowledge. I realized that I was on the call and I was like, I need to take this. I need to impress everyone.
Go for gold, bro.
Cool. Okay. So people that were listening, octopi, branches of knowledge. octopi, they don't really have so much of a brain. Well, they do, but they've also got neurons in their arms. So when you kind of extrapolate what scientific, like, what alien intelligence would look like, octopi are, octopus, they are the closest thing we have to like an alien. If you chop off one of his arms, the arm will, still react by itself in terms of intelligence. And yeah, it's just like, your brain is built with like these different layers. Human brains are, but it's just completely done in a different way with slugs and octopi. And I think octopi evolved from mollusks and other types of crabs. So there's your fun fact on octopi. Didn't want to leave you hanging. Now you know.
Far out, octopi. They're one of the like most intelligent heard. They can do so much. Like,
yeah,
they can camouflage. They can learn new like basic skills, chuck colors up, equations, you name it. There was even that octopus. I think it was in Germany, which was guessing the World Cup games outcomes. Do you remember that? The soccer ones?
Mm. Yeah,
and for a while,
quite successful.
It was like the buzz of the internet. It was crazy.
Mm.
But anyway, silicon mahi. What is it? Tell me all about it.
Cool. You want to go?
Go. Yeah, definitely.
Boom.
So like silicon mahi, at least kind of the vision or like the concept that we have for it is we are looking to bring together kind of at the moment the current cohort numbers is sitting around kind of like the concept of 150 kind of young entrepreneurs or young professionals,
future leaders of New Zealand.
Yeah. I guess we're kind of just that are really just ambitious and really looking to kind of raise the tides in New Zealand from like a leadership perspective, and we're looking to connect them with around 30 to 40.
Yeah, 30 to 50.
Yeah, 30 to 50 kind of like already well established thought leaders, entrepreneurs, kind of like change makers in New Zealand already, just to see if we can kind of create a network of
the current leaders helping future leaders. Lifting the bar of New Zealand up, and I'm just going to address this up front. This is very much not desired to be some elitist little cult. The whole purpose of this is how can we kind of come together to impact society for the better. So the single guiding principle and the true North Star is how can we lift New Zealand up.
Yeah,
very
right.
Groovy. I can wrap on for a little. Yeah. Okay. I'll keep going. So yeah, thanks for pretty much nailed it. So this is like a relatively new kind of initiative for myself. My 3-phase plan of like trying to help New Zealand become a tech hub, because I totally think like it's possible. I've spoken to many people, and there's very interesting hurdles that this country has. I'm not too politically orientated, nor do I want to get into politics. I love tech, I love product, I love innovation. I really hope that I can help the world in that domain. But yeah, step one was creating a startup that has some oomph to it, so I know how to play the game. Step two is creating this co-living situation, and step three is creating a network of there's 150 future leaders connected with 30 to 50 current leaders. So we're lucky to have quite a few really well-established leaders. So I'm not going to drop names because nothing's confirmed, but we've got the top 0.1% of people in the country, maybe even top 0.01%, which is really exciting. Just conversations are being percolated. We're having about an opening event in about 2 months, which we're really looking forward to. I've already got some special guests lined up for that, which is ridiculous. One was messaging me last night on Facebook because I added him there, and I was like, "This is reality broken at the moment. How do I have you on Facebook?" But really looking forward to.
Man, that sounds sick. It's cool when you are able to bring those people together. Sorry to interrupt. Your sound and video has been a little crackly. Maybe jump out the podcast, jump back in. We'll see if it's a Wi-Fi issue or what the go is. But Silicon Mahi sounds amazing. Your video seems to be going all right now. So we're back. Awesome.
If it happens again, we'll
I'll let you know. But so will people be connected digitally or face to face?
Face to face.
Yeah, face to face.
Yeah, definitely face to face.
So start off in Auckland and then see where it goes from there.
Yep. Well, no, we certainly want to involve people from outside. Like, there are obviously amazing people all around the country, and they might not be able to come in as often. But I mean, that's one thing that we have to decide, to be honest. But I think it would be a little bit wrong to be too exclusive based on geography. And to be honest with you, like, maybe it's too exclusive to just limit it to 150 people. Like, I think that it's hard to strike the balance of it's a bit of a paradox or a dilemma, I guess. Like, if you just open the floodgates, then how is it different from just the rest of the country? So that's something that I think we could be scrutinized for in the future. Like, they have huge associations and clubs, but yeah, I certainly don't like the idea of a secret / elitist / upper echelon thing. So we're not about that, and we might change our model in the future if we find that we're being harmful in that domain.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the I think right now, and it's a great time to start the initiative as well, because right now, due to the fact that we have kind of a global pandemic, we're sitting in a really unique opportunity. And the situation is at the moment is that due to COVID, we've had a lot of exceptionally experienced and kind of talented leaders, from around the world, return to New Zealand. So what ends up happening is, if you've ever heard the phrase "the smart ones leave,"
you were one of them. You.
So I mean, I personally returned to New Zealand due to COVID. I came back in September. But yeah, I know many other people who kind of just come back due to COVID, and then we're kind of in this phase right now where we have a kind of window of opportunity. I'm giving it about a year. And what I'm saying is, right now, a lot of the exceptionally kind of talented people, which it's transient right now. So if you ask them, hey, once COVID's done, are you going to stay in New Zealand? A lot of them are going to say, well, not really. Like, the second the kind of COVID finishes up, we're going to be on like the next plane out of here. But what we want is, for the government, I think the government has the initiative to be like, hey, you have the chance to retain exceptionally global talent right now, and we need you to kind of push some initiatives towards, one, either incentivize starting startups here, or two, kind of just make sure that there are roles which these people are kind of capable of doing there. If you're a person who usually works in the United States and you're working for Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100, and your position is generally, up on the food chain there, like, your options for employability in terms of something similar to what you're doing in the United States is a lot smaller. So because of that, it's a bit of a problem. But like, I think what that does open for us at Silicon Mahi is it gives us that place where, right, we've got a ton of global talent that's just here right now. Let's see if we can tap them as quick as possible, get them into the network, and say like, hey, we want to utilize like your skills and expertise as well, and then it's a lot easier for us to kind of get in touch because they come back home.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely been this brain gain thing over the last 6 months. People have been returning, and I suppose what New Zealand has on its side is we're very passionate about this country. All New Zealanders are proud of New Zealand. It's the place we grew up. It's safe. Everyone gets along. We a lot of New Zealanders reach for the stars, and that's apparent by lots of different things happening around the place. We're a sporty country. We've got awesome nature. Tourists want to come here. The key component, I guess, that is the most competitive thing elsewhere that isn't as much here is that 1% at the very top. They tend to land jobs with bigger paychecks overseas. So somehow we need to tap into that emotional side where they feel like they're growing the country as a whole. So that they don't leave, It's I guess that's the biggest draw card that I see in my head. I could be wrong, but when we're competing against big money in America or London, that, and it may look like a very different landscape once the borders open. This whole thing is thrashing economies all over the world, you know, so those big paychecks may not be there when the borders open up, but that's how I see it. I think now that a lot of those New Zealanders are back, I think you're right, we should capture, and that should be a strategic play by the government to invest in those people, because they'll make this country better for the long run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know?
That's a good
so
yeah.
Silicon Mahi, I think you're onto a good thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's so 5 years down the line, what's that picture look like for Silicon Mahi, do you think?
I'm going to think. I don't want to give an impulse answer. That's a very great question.
Yeah, that's a great question there, because I know at that point kind of it'll be, I know for a fact that a few of us will be kind of like globally based as well. So we're kind of going to have to see where the network goes, whether it goes beyond New Zealand, whether it goes kind of stays within. Right.
Yeah, totally. I would love to say we have contributed at least $1 billion of economic impact to the tech sector. And don't hold this to me. I need to talk about this very slowly with my co-founders. But do you want to spitball?
I think for me, you know, like so my reasoning for kind of joining the Silicon Mahi initiative is, you know, I am I'm a Māori in tech, you know, and right now the statistics are quite kind of bleak in terms of, like, you know, we're 25% of the population, but we take up 2% of the workforce in technology. You know, I work for a company with 1,300 employees, and we've got 2 Pacific Islanders that work there, me being one, kind of thing. Like, the numbers aren't big right now, and I think for me, like, in 5 years, I would like to see that number kind of increase. Like, I just think I'd like to see more representation, and I'm not saying forced representation. I'm saying kind of I'd love to use the network effects of Silicon Mahi to show what opportunity arises when you do work in tech, because it's an amazing industry to be in that will take you around the world and give you a global career. And then, but unfortunately, you know, when our tamariki have, you know, when the statistics show that 30% of the Māori Pacific Islander tamariki don't have access to the internet, as of now, like, it's pretty hard to show them the opportunity when they don't have, like, the basic setup kind of thing.
This is 2021, by the way, for listeners.
So I think that's, for me, that's where my vision for it is, just to kind of, you know, showcase the opportunity that arises when you kind of do join in tech there. Yeah.
Nice.
For sure. What's your background, bro? Because I haven't met you before, and listeners, Jamie gave the quick 5 on what he's all about. What's your story?
Yeah, definitely. So my name's Hedemeier.
Do you mind if I'm grabbing some water? I'm marginally dehydrated. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So my name's Hedemeier. I'm actually, I'm Māori on both sides of the family there, but I was predominantly raised international.
You're cutting out, bro.
So I was did my kind of 20s across Melbourne and let's see if we can get that fixed. Let me know if it's any better.
Yeah, better now. Yeah. If it happens again,
cool.
we might get Jamie to log in again, and then
definitely.
Fixes with it.
Yeah, I'm in the. I took the initiative to actually upgrade the internet right now, so we're getting that. We're definitely getting that fixed.
No dramas.
Yeah. So I was raised internationally, and it's the first time I'm actually living in New Zealand. So I moved back here in September, actually.
Where'd you grow up, or where have you been?
Well, I grew up in Australia, actually. Yeah, so I was born in New Zealand, but then I was raised predominantly in Australia, and kind of have returned here due to COVID. So right now I work in tech. I work for a company called GitLab in kind of enterprise software sales. So I do I'm the kind of rep for New Zealand, and I kind of sell the software across East Coast Australia and New Zealand, which is great. In terms of background, so I studied management and entrepreneurship, management in Melbourne, and then entrepreneurship in Sweden. It was great. There was kind of like an entrepreneurship school over in Sweden where I kind of just cut my teeth in kind of learning the basics. And then I ran my first tech startup at 24 years old, like in London, actually. Yeah, so that was in the blockchain and crypto space. So that was it was an exciting time. Yeah, it was definitely an exciting time there. But kind of when you've been around the sun and you've kind of, raised the capital, made the team, like made a bunch of money, and then like watched it all fall, you kind of just take a step back from things and then kind of jump back into the safety of employment for a bit there, where mum's not too concerned. Yeah. But so I've been working in enterprise tech sales for about the last 2 years across Melbourne, and then I was recently transferred over to Auckland, and then I recently joined a new company with GitLab, which is kind of global. So yeah, I met Jamie. Like are we going on 2 months now? Yeah, almost like 2 months back there. I met him through an advertisement on the internet. We'll call it that. Yeah, he posted an ad on the internet there in terms of about the house itself there where we live. And then I was like, wow, this sounds like a great kind of culture to be around. And then kind of I met Jamie, and then we got on like a house on fire. So I think it's been it's been a really great journey. Yeah.
Most people do with Jamie.
Yeah, he's a character. He's an awesome guy. Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, that's a cool backstory. What was it like being in Sweden and coming there when not many people with your ethnicity head over those ways or in those circles?
Yeah, I remember that's an interesting one. I remember reading because between like my best friend was from Norway as well, and I remember I was reading the statistics. I think there was like 36 people from New Zealand that like registered to live in Norway, and that's not even considering Māori. And I was like, well, that's very much not too much at all. I think for the most part, anytime I go to Europe, when people kind of see me, they're like, you look like that character from Moana. Like they're like, you remind me of Maui. Like, that's very much. I mean, it's not a bad thing, he's just acted after Dwayne Johnson, so I was like, well, yeah, that's quite nice. So I think in terms of, there's quite a lot of Māori in London, actually. Yeah, so that's actually quite nice. But in terms of when you kind of venture out of your English-speaking countries, the numbers can kind of dwindle a bit. But for the most bit, I think like curious fascination is the biggest one that I get generally. Like a lot of people are just genuinely curious to know a little bit more about the culture itself there, and then kind of being said, because a lot of them are like, "Wow, I've never met a Māori before." So there's not many of us on that side of the world. So yeah.
Would you say the same about being involved in tech, or it's a little bit more well known?
Yeah, that's like being involved in tech is an interesting one. I think for me, like when I found the numbers at my current company, like when I found that like I was like one of 2 out of 1,300, I was like, I would like there to be like 10 maybe. Like I thought there'd be like a couple. Yeah, I thought I would like I'm glad I'm not the only one there, but I think that was a bit confronting for me. But I think because I was raised internationally, I was kind of given that opportunity to kind of just like, for me, I never really saw it as like, I never knew these things. I was just like, hey, I like entrepreneurship, I like tech, I'm just going to work there. So generally it was just like a natural progression. Whereas kind of returning to New Zealand and then realizing the statistics, I was like, oh, wow, this is like we're talking like a needle in a haystack of haystacks kind of thing there. So yeah, it's it can be like, I wouldn't say daunting at times. It's just sometimes it's just hard kind of when you're not, like you're always just kind of that one that's like it's pretty blatantly obvious that there's not many others like you're in there kind of thing. Yeah,
for sure. Do you think we need more Māori in tech, and if so, what would your strategy be?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, big one, yes. Like, yeah, absolutely. First answer, absolutely. The like 2% is something that I'm not kind of too happy with there. But I mean, in terms of like strategy, so I think like the New Zealand government is kind of like the 3 biggest reasons why Māori and Pacifica do not get into tech is one, there's kind of one being the fact that like it's the tamariki, so like the fact that 30% of them don't have access to the internet. That's a huge factor as to whether or not if you don't have a computer and access to the internet, you're not going to be able to see that opportunity. 2 is the fact that the representation really does matter. So when you've got, like, I like to always bring it back to that concept of the 2-minute mile that was broken around the 1930s. Like before the marathon runners broke that 2-minute mile, everyone thought it was impossible. Everyone said, it can't be done, humanly impossible. Like it's beyond the peak of kind of like human capacity. And then the second they broke the mile, they realized it's done, it's possible, absolutely. And the floodgates kind of opened. Like I believe the same thing happens when it comes to kind of Māori and Pacifica. There's a reason why a lot of the kids want to do, like arts, culture, and rugby. It's like, why is that? Because we have the All Blacks, and the All Blacks, it's not just kind of 20-something guys that play rugby together. It's what it represents. It's people up to them and say, hey, I'm proud of that. Hey,
That's,
this is something
that's good.
that I want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge one where we really just need like some shining stars and northern lights in the industry where we can kind of get to it there. And then thirdly, it was institutionally. I think there was some kind of like when you at times you really do have to run it back there. You know, when you're in my parents' and my grandparents' days, they were encouraged to get more into kind of blue collar labor or become like work in textiles, work in blue collar. And then because of that, you know, they weren't given that opportunity to see what tech does. And then, you know, for a fact, it kind of runs down to the next generation and so on and so forth. So because of that, we're left with a place where not many of our kind of parents and grandparents were given that opportunity. So it's hard for them to kind of be able to conceptualize an opportunity and teach it to their children if they weren't given themselves. So in terms of where I'm trying to make a difference, like I work with Jamie, you know, with things like Silicon Mahi, where we can kind of bring that to the attention. And then also, I think for me, like as a person who works in tech and kind of has ambitions to, you know, go to the Valley, build a startup, exit, like it's very much just doing what hasn't been done before to kind of show that it's possible and kind of raise the bar and show like, you know, this is definitely possible. Like, you know, this isn't something that's just exclusively reserved for the elite or for the other classes or for anyone else. Like, and then once you kind of do that, you can hopefully be like let's hope this inspires, you know, more people to kind of be like, yeah, that's me too. Yeah.
For sure. What was that, James?
Oh, you go.
Yeah, there's something very powerful about seeing someone who's similar to you achieve something pretty awesome. You know, there's these peripheral effects that person doesn't even know about, but it pulls people along. It generates momentum, and then there's this wave that follows that probably is a little unconscious to the person who was driving in the first place, but the net spreads widely. Like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Very cool, very cool. Jamie, what were you going to jump in with?
Player 4 has entered the game. I just want to very quickly. Alex is guiding. Alex is the lead dev of Shwoop.
Alex, welcome to the show. Give the quick five of what you're all about.
We're coming on the tail end of a Shwoop face mask. Alex, you would inspire me so much. You inspire a lot of the people. You're the youngest person in the house. You inspire all of us. I just wanted I just wanted a future record of what would the 30-year-old version of Alex be sharing with the world? What advice do you have for the world in 10 years? And that's a very weird question. I don't think it's, I've heard of like, you know, what would your 30-year-old say to your 20-year-old now? What would your 30-year-old, it's kind of similar to that. Go.
Well, I think what I would say would be each goal or the vision that you're after, it's like working towards it. It's like chiseling away a rock. Every time you chisel, you don't see any result. But if you do it for long enough, if you do it over time, accumulatively, you'll see the result. And many people give up during the first 10 minutes or the first 10 days or the first 10 months. But it's those who keep doing it for 10 years, 20 years, they finally see the end product.
Nice.
I think patience is key.
Yeah. I wanted at least one bit of footage on the internet where nice. I just wanted one bit of footage on the internet where, because Alex, everyone knows here that you're going to go places, whether that's, you know, us scaling Shwoop, or whether that's you becoming CEO of Google next year. We're great. Satya, we're coming for you. He's Microsoft, but but yeah. So thank you, Alex. I wanted there to be footage on the internet of you because you're going places, and now people can scroll back years on this and be like, look at his first ever podcast interview, and now look where he's at. It's like Watching an early Jeff Bezos interview, early Elon Musk interview before he blew up. That's
Sure.
what I wanted. All right.
All three of you will look back on this in 20 years and say, we're reaching for the stars. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Alex, I got a question for you. So
Yeah.
you're talking about the rock that you're chiseling away at. What's your biggest rock at the moment that you're trying to get in place in 20 years' time?
Very quickly, show people your beautiful face and then put the face mask back on. This is what Alex looks like. There we go. That's yes.
It's got a runny nose at the moment, so don't want to get my flat infected.
Thank you.
I think the rock that I'm chiseling away at the moment will be, first of all, there are 3 pillars that I'm looking at. Will be physical, career, and I guess relationship or lives, by maintaining good, healthy relationship with people around me. Make sure I don't act with agony or angry or emotions towards them. Just being a good person, it will be like the foundation at the moment. Just like keep at it every day. It's kind of hard, like not being able to, like being the ability not to act with emotion. I think it's something that I'm working on every day. And then in terms of physical health, I want to be able to stay fit, and so that's like exercise daily. And then comes career, where I think one of the goals that I've set for myself would be, I want to be good enough to be the director of engineer for a company like Netflix or Google. So that's how the end goal.
I like it. You broke it down into 3 main things: emotion, career, and fitness. I sort of think about it in 3 F's, so fitness, fabricate, and finance. So fitness, keep strong, fit, and healthy, just so you can function right. Finance, that's the career aspect. Make sure everything's in check so you can achieve the things you want to achieve and reach your career goals. And then and fabricate is that creation piece. It's the emotional piece. It's that piece that brings people together. So I like what you were saying there. So yeah, kudos to you, Alex. Or all 3 of you seem to be on a good path. It's good what that house is bringing together, Jamie. So kudos to all of you. Any last comments from? Let's have one piece of advice. If there's young bucks watching at the moment, or in 20 years from now, what would you say to the young bucks that are thinking about the next step? One piece of advice from each of you.
Jamie, do you want to kick it off? Or?
Sure. So I'll be very simple. There's intrinsic motivation, and then there is extrinsic motivation. I fear waking up when I'm 30 or 40, having accumulated wealth and power, and just being shallow and empty on the inside. So I've spent quite a lot of time myself really tuning into and channeling what I'm passionate about. There's a lot of paradoxes as well. If you do become a very passionate and mission-driven person, it's a little bit more complex, but it's a lot more. It's a lot more complex. Like, for example, like sometimes I find myself struggling to move economic dials and face economic and business realities because I'm so hung up on passion for human potential and doing what I love. The map of economics is not the same as the map of emotion, but the map of life is the same. It's very similar to the map of emotion, I would say. So yeah, there's no point in accumulating wealth and dying sad. Mm-hmm. So really, really figure out what your intrinsic motivation is. And also paradoxically, money will probably come as a side effect, a very positive side effect of that.
You're not going to Dale Carnegie it, will you? Just earn a bunch of money and just give it all away and then have a bunch of Mcdonald theaters around the New Zealand.
Oh man, I see no point being at this moment, I don't see too much of a point of being incredulously wealthy unless you're really channeling that into pro-social things.
Mhm.
I think I might be able to utilize capital better than just simply giving away. Like, for example, I would love to use my wealth to really positively impact the world if I have the luck of ever making it.
Mhm. Alex?
Yeah, I think one thing that I've always struggled in the past is that I worry about things too much and that it'll get to me. Whether the result of that will be emotional breakdown or physical deterioration or physical well-being, etc., from things such as I worry about what other people think of me constantly. Worry about each and every little action of mine and how that might make other people think, etc. So I think, just the ability to control your own emotions, like understand that other people's opinions, like I wouldn't say it doesn't matter. I think that I just, how do I put it? Where am I going? Read Dale Carnegie's book. Don't worry and stop worrying and start living again. I think reading that book will give way more insights than my amateur conclusion.
Don't say that. Yeah, don't say that.
Yeah. So I was focused on what I had in mind and meditate. Please learn how to meditate, everyone. It is the most life transforming thing you can do. It is deceptively simple.
Mm-hmm. Geez, final piece of advice from me. I would always say is be the change in the world that you want to see, especially if you are trying to make change where it hasn't been done before. So if you are, if you don't like the way that things are, if you don't like the status quo, be the difference. Just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean it can't be done. And I'll always say that representation does matter, and it requires it's easier for things to be done when it's been done before then. So, and if it hasn't been done, then try to be the one that makes it.
Thank you, guys.
Can we end on
Alex, Jamie?
Can we wrap
What's
this up
that?
while we walk around? I would love to wrap this up while we walk around. So
For
let's
sure.
get everyone.
Are we going to have a tour of the house?
A very quick tour. Please finish it. But I'm also going to slowly do this while you wrap things up.
Sick. Whoa, go back. Is that your whiteboard mastermind of plans that are going to happen over the next 20 years?
One of the many. Yeah, we've got quite a few whiteboards around this place. This is co-working space, a library. That's a view out to Rangitoto, not short island. Not happening. That's all right.
Yeah. There's an island out there somewhere.
Yeah. And
thank you, Jeremiah and Alex. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Always a show, and all the best for it.
Cheers. We'll connect up later. I'll jump up to Auckland at some point, and I'll see you for real life.
Yes.
Real life. Yeah.
Please. Awesome.
Sweet. We'll catch you soon.
Sounds good. Later.
Oh, Jamie.
Yes.
I got to give you guys a plug.
Oh, right. If you want, go.
We almost forgot. So this is your time to just explain for the listeners at the end of the show what it's all about. Go for gold.
I'm gonna give a house tour at the same time.
Here you go.
Oh wow, the website's up there. So really wanting to turn cities into playgrounds, as the tagline there says. I hope that in 5 years I've created a platform that is just as powerful as all the other social media platforms, like Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. but we're really concentrated on bringing people back together in real life. So, it doesn't really make a lot of sense with the treasure hunt model. It's more of an acquisition strategy. By the way, here's our living room. Here is our kitchen over here. Oops. But yeah, I hope that we can. Yeah, I hope that I'm moving the world slowly towards collective enlightenment. And that's Elon's vision as well. Whoa, it's Will.
Hey,
Boom. That is Will.
What's up, Will?
So yeah, we can see heaps of the motorbikes out there. The spa that's been not functional for many, many months. God damn it. But yeah, I hope that we can, if Elon Musk is trying to move the world towards collective enlightenment through technology, which is totally a valid route, and obviously it's important. There's such thing as technological enlightenment. I think that people have mistaken the material. We value material success over meaningfulness, and I hope that I'm creating a platform that's slowly making the world head a little bit more towards collective enlightenment on the emotional side of things.
Mate, thank you, Jamie, for all your hard work. You're one mega creative soul, and I wish you all the best with all your projects, Silicon Mahi, Shwoop, and whatever is to come, because I'm sure there's a few projects in the pipeline. Shout out to Alex and Jeremiah for jumping on very spontaneously, even through the tech hassles. But no, it's mean that you guys have that house and community up there. I'm definitely going to visit when I'm up there. And we even had a quick show of Will. Is Will a housemate? He lives
Will
there
is
too?
a housemate. Will is a housemate.
So I'll meet the whole crew.
Comedian and communist.
He's what?
He's a resident comedian and commie.
All good. Well, you have an awesome weekend. It's mega to catch up with you, because we don't catch up that often. But when we do, it's like a house on fire. So I really appreciate you. You're doing good things in the world. So I wish you all the best.
Sounds good. All right. Touch base soon. See
you, mate.
All right.
Jamie Mcdonald, everyone. He's definitely one to watch. He's he's a big thinker. Definitely. He's early in the game, 23 years old, but he's definitely going places. It's exciting to see when young people with such energy are doing cool things in the world. And you can bet your bottom dollar that he's got a lot of projects in the pipeline. That's all from me, everyone. I won't be on next week because I've got Relay for Life that will be running all night on Saturday, and then I'll be involved with Anzac Day. So the next time I'll be on will probably be in 2 weeks. Until then, I'll just be pumping out my thoughts online on the good old Daily Jace Facebook pages and whatnot. But hope everyone has a wonderful Saturday, a good weekend, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.